Hi everyone, welcome to the podcast. P is for Paul. This is my whenever I like to podcast. Okay, it's been a while. My podcast, I talk about my life as a professional plogger. I'm just trying to make a living out of picking up trash, running around the place to see if it will work. I've been doing it for 14 years. I'm now doing it as a profession, and this is how it's going. We've got a fun one. It's not really going to be talking too much about plogging. It's going to be talking about interactions with people, because this is season 2, episode 22. P is for people. Let's get cracking.
Plug it and tag it and post it and bin it. Plug it and tag it and post it and bin it.
Okay, so I've actually got a script in front of me, so it should be quite focused today, he says, but we shall see. First of all, I want to talk about something that's just happened. It's really interesting. I've got a load of giveaways that are coming. So if you follow me on Instagram, you might see that, oh, hang on, he's won that. Oh, he's won that. In reality, I think this is sort of a good insight is, yes, there are some people on Instagram who have more chance of winning than others. That's the reality. For some reason, they seem to be finding my account when they're selecting me. So I've won a couple of prizes, including literally just this morning before I made this recording, I just won a drone, sort of the anti-gravity Insta360 drone that's just come out, literally just come out. So I just won that. So huge prize. But that is fantastic. And it aligns with my professional blogging, because what I can now do is sell my DJI drone that I've got, and I can get a bit of money back for that. And I've got this Insta360 drone, which means that I'm really completely in the Insta360 ecosystem now. I've got literally everything. The only thing that's outstanding is I've got a Pocket 3 that I like to use, but apart from that, everything. The 360 camera, the action camera, the micro camera. I've got a Go 3S. So I've got those. What you're actually seeing on the screen at the moment is recorded by the Insta360 webcam. I've really completely bought into the Insta360 ecosystem, and I love it. It's just really simple. It's they're not going to listen to this, so I can be as honest and as disparaging as I like. One of the most important things that you can do now in terms of which camera you choose is to choose which ecosystem you want. And now you've got DJI. I would say DJI is a little bit more for the people that want to perhaps go a little bit more color grading, a little bit more sort of professional. I think there's that element. They've got a little bit more 10-bit and stuff. Personally, I prefer the image quality of the Insta360s I've got. Oh, no, that's not entirely true. On the action camera, on the GoPro action camera, I think was still my favorite in terms of absolute quality. I really love that, but it just sucks in nighttime, and Insta360 rocks in nighttime, and I can use it all day long. And I really love the Insta360 360 camera as well. Now the X5, that is my go-to camera. So I've just bought into that sphere, and this completes it now. So I can't really ask them to be an ambassador now, because I kind of already am. Who knows? Maybe I'll reach out to them and say, look, you have to start paying me now, because I'm just just sort of publicly sort of praising you. So you should. But I'm really grateful for winning that. Unfortunately, they saw it, and I pushed it. In all honesty, I said, if I win it, it talks about my mission. I said, if I win it, I can video my mission of picking up trash. I'll be completely honest. I played that card to win this, but the benefit is I can now sell my other drone, get a little bit of money for that. So it's a little bit of extra money that I get back, even though I spent it earlier on in the year. I can get a little bit of money back for that. So that's really useful. And the most important thing with this, and also the other prize I just won, which is actually a Cricut mug press, which means I can now make customized mugs. So watch out. There might be merchandise for customized mugs now if you want to. The most important thing is I'm going to be using them and cherishing them. And I actually put that on the post where Insta360 said I'd won it, and I just said to as a reply to that, I said to all the people that have been literally hanging on, hoping that they win, because I am that person as well. I literally, oh, am I going to win? Am I going to win? Hope, 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 hope. And it's heartbreaking when you don't win it. But I think the most important thing I did, and I replied on that, is said, I'm really sorry. Yeah, I'm so grateful I've won. And to all the people that didn't win, who deserve it as much as I do, perhaps even more in some cases, who are incredible content creators, and it will let them take that leap. I told them the most important thing to know is that I am going to be using this. I am going to be treasuring this, and I'm also going to be sharing it and using it for other people's content. So if you're in the area, I'm not promising I can do it all the time, so don't sort of, oh, not many people listening to this podcast maybe, but so it should be okay. But, you know, if you are interested, just reach out to me. And if I can, I'd love to sort of come along and video you. It gives me practice with the drone, gives you some content as well. So if that's possible, then just reach out to me, and, let's get the most out of it. And I think that's the most important thing. So that's the news. Let's get on to the P is for people. So what is today's episode about? And this actually has been building up. I've got a few stories. So I've got quite a few stories that just really talks about people. It talks about people, how they act on social media. So there's going to be a couple of trolls I'm going to be talking about that I've had experience with there. It's going to be talking about things I've said as well, things that have happened to me, but also things in the street. So it's not just talking about social media. It's also talking about in real life as well, how I handle it, and how it's actually become part of my way of life. That sort of view that I've seen that's been coming out as that's actually sort of really created who I am. I think the way that we interact with people is a very big part of who we become. And and the interactions, not just how we act to people, but how people act to us. It really governs how we change in our lives and who we become as people. So what are the stories? So let's just go through them. The first one, so this one's called You Are Gay. So this is a social media post. This was actually, I think it was on a news. It was on. So this is during COVID. So this was quite a few years ago. And I think this was one of the first ones I was like really knocked back by. I got contacted, or it was actually through supporters of Scone, so who knew about me and everything, and they were and RTL, one of the news channels, was going to do an article on the masks, and they were contacted supporters of Scone about how many masks are being dropped on the ground, the single-use masks, and so supporters of Scone reached out to me and said, "Look, do you want to be involved in this? Because I know that you're picking up masks and things like that." So I was on the interview, had a really nice piece talking about it, and then I can't even remember what kicked off the dialogue. But there was this quite a negative comment on the news article. And so I replied to it. If I can, I really want to reply to every comment that comes in. Now, hopefully I get so big that I can't do it. But if I can, I really want to reply to everything, including the negative comments, because I think, okay, well, for one, it's not that I want to moan at them or anything. I want to be constructive at them. Usually there is some small grain of reasoning behind why they've done it. Even if they say something that is just completely stupid, there is something that has caused them to do that. And I just want to make sure that I get my chance to respond. I will try and do it positively. I will try and do it take their view into respect and then respond accordingly. And so I did that. We actually had this going back and forth. I think it was because I think it's actually because I spoke Dutch, was it? I can't remember. Anyway, but we would go doing this back and forth, and I was trying to sort of talk about us being rational, and they were just coming back with weirder conversations. And I said, look, if you can't, I'm going to stop this sort of going back and forth conversation if we can't be respectful. And then I think they just posted, "You're gay." That was it. There was like, they'd run out of things to say. They didn't want to know what else to say, and they thought that would be an insult. So they just went, "You're gay." I was like, "Oh gosh, well I'm not going to reply to that. I'm just like, that's it. I'm out." So I think that was the first time I was like, I was so determined not to let them have the final say or not respond to it, and I didn't necessarily mind them having the last word, but I wanted to make sure that I had my word in there. So that was the first one. You are gay. The other one was you're an attention seeker. So this this was fantastic. It was one of the many things that got. There was a post I think on Runner's World social media, and I think maybe the Blikjesjurk, maybe the Rotterdam Marathon. I can't remember. I can't remember what it was, but then the person just put in there, all you're doing is doing it for attention. And I don't even know if I reply to it, but when people say that, I say, yes, you're completely right. I do this for attention. Absolutely. 100%. I want everybody to look at me. I want to have as big a following as Kim Kardashian. I will not deny that. Do not think for one moment that I do not want people to look at what I'm doing. Whether you think, however much of that you think is my ego, is up to you. And it undoubtedly is. Yeah, there's a lot of it that is probably me. That is definitely me going, I want people to look at me. I want to be important in this world. But I hope that an equal part, if not slightly more, is about the mission that I'm trying to do. It's up to you to decide about that. But anyway, they came through and talked about, oh yeah, you're just doing it for the attention. And I think I replied, you're absolutely right. But what was really cool was that several other people actually just replied to his comment and said, hang on, Paul, he runs 5,000 kilometers. He does this. Everything he does is genuine. And to the point where the person deleted their comment after a while. I think they just got so many comments, and it was just fantastic. So in terms of peers for people, it also is, it's amazing how many times this has happened, more than a few times, that the people have come to my defense, because sometimes I just feel a bit awkward. I will try and answer it, but I will try and do it without just saying you're wrong. Yeah, I don't want to reply saying I do this, but other people have done it on my behalf, and it's just so wonderful. So the people, hopefully more people than not, will sort of come. Oh no, I'm saying that word, ignore that. But yeah, that was just so fantastic seeing how the other people responded to his comment, and to the point where he took it down. And it was sort of, for whatever reason, I would have preferred that comment to stay there. And he says, oh yeah, okay, I acknowledge that. Maybe I was wrong, or this is getting out of hand. For whatever reason, I would have rather that comment stayed there, unless he disagreed with his original comment. So that was just so fantastic, having all those people coming to my thing. There are times when there's been a negative. There's actually been one person. So the thing about this is, if this happens on my account and you troll me and I respond to you and you respond back, I don't mind that. I know that, for God's sakes, I run around in a banana suit. There's a lot that I can take. I mean, there will always be a limit, but there's a lot I can take. And if a troll comes onto my post and then they do it, then I go and chat to them and they go reply to me. That's all that's doing is benefiting me. It's getting more attention. It's more comments on my post. It's getting more views on my post. If they bring in a whole army posting negative stuff about me, I stand by everything I do on Instagram, on social media. So if people disagree with me, do your best. Every comment you post on there is getting more eyes on my account, and I stand by that, what I've said. So I don't really mind replying to it, and as long as I'm, sometimes it's hard to be a bit respectful, but I try my hardest to be respectful to them. There is one time that something has happened, and that is I was following someone and then they blocked me. that one upset. I think that's the only time that I've really been upset is the fact that someone blocked me. If they'd have just got me to, if they just had me unfollow them or just put a comment, I don't like you, unfollow me, please, or something like that, I would have respected that. But they blocked me, and I think that does have a negative impact on me. I don't know how much, but I've got a feeling that Instagram is going to say, okay, someone blocked him. He obviously did something wrong. So for whatever reason, I don't think I did anything wrong. For whatever reason, I didn't like that. That's the only time that I've actually really been bothered by something, when someone actually blocked my account. All I was doing was following them. They could just ask me to unfollow them. So that was one of the negative things. But let's just get back to some positive things as well. What recently this one is, now we're going on to two posts, two completely contrasting comments I've had on social media. It's not all social media. I'm going to move on to some real conversations with people in a second. But this is the last one. So I've recently done a couple of paid partnerships with Jimmy Joy, who do Plenty Shakes. So they reached out to me, and I've done a couple of campaigns with them. So I get a little bit of money for it. Not a great deal of money, but I really love the fact that they reached out to me and we've got a good connection going. They seem to like my content and I've really enjoyed making it. And I do like their products. So I do use their products as well. They sort of part of the deal where they give me a voucher for their product, and I'm quite happy to take it. It's good stuff. So if you want to know more about it, just DM me. But so Jimmy joined the Plenty Shakes. I did a couple of adverts for them. I got 2 comments this week for those ads that have been going around. So they're not on my feed, but they just get sent to people's social media feeds and things. And the first one, there couldn't be more contrasting. The first one said, because I'm doing this is a paid campaign, but it's in Dutch. So I'm really nervous and I don't feel comfortable speaking Dutch. I try my hardest to speak it. I don't understand it fully. I always say that I speak Dutch like Yoda and I write it like Chewbacca. And I think that's true. Doesn't matter how well you say it, how good you think my Dutch is. I know it's not as good as it should be, considering I've been living here for so long. And I apologize for that. But equally, my English isn't particularly brilliant. I don't know how many times a week my wife would say to me, "What does this word mean?" And I just go, "I've got no clue." And that's, in English, I've got no clue what that means. I know the word, I've used the word, I just don't understand its meaning. Languages are not my thing. And to sort of come to a country in my 30s and try and learn the language is something that was never going to be something that I could achieve, but I'm doing my best. That's the most important thing, is I'm doing the best. But this comment was, so I've done this advert in Dutch saying, buy Plenty Shakes, you can go and all that stuff. And the comment was in Dutch. It was, so if I drink these shakes, will I speak like a moron then as well? I was just, will I have a moronic accent as well? It was just, why? Why did he? So my response to that was, unfortunately, I was born with it. I looked at the account, and it was a private account, and it was also, it was also. Oh, that's just maybe. I just thought of another one. So, I'm sorry, I'm pausing, but screw it. Let's just leave it in. Yeah, I looked at his account. It was a private account, no posts and things like that. It's just someone that just uses Instagram, and they just feel like they can say whatever they like, so they just said it. It was just, at least I learned a new Dutch word, which was fun. Complete contrast to that, on the last advert I did. So we actually got comments. They obviously did the 2 campaigns simultaneously or something along those lines. So this one, the person actually said, "You actually speak better Dutch than most of the Dutch people." I was like, okay, but that's super sweet. I don't kind of agree with you, but it's so completely crossroad. One says I've got a moronic accent. The other one says I speak it better than half of the Dutch sort of born and bred people. So the comments you get are just so So crazy. Oh, now I've forgotten what I was going to say. I was going to say another one. Oh, damn it. What was it? I've forgotten. Oh, well, never mind. You've missed out on one. Let's see if I remember it by the time I get to the end. This is later me just interrupting this podcast because I've remembered what it was now. So some of you might remember that I won a prize about a beer can. So it was Two Chefs Brewery. They're doing a prize where you could win your cartoon on a beer can. Fantastic prize. Brilliant. And the competition it was between 5 people, but in the end it went down to 2 people. It was a most likes, as simple as that. It was between me and a rugby player. And it was neck and neck. It was like so traumatic. I was so stressed by it. And I was looking, I'm going to be completely honest, I had exactly the same reaction that his girlfriend had. So I was looking at this account and I was like going, they are cheating. If I look at all the likes they've got, some of them are dodgy. I find it really dodgy, the fact that I pull back and get up to the same level. They go 30 ahead the next day. And then I catch up to them 30 again. I was like thinking, what are they doing? Something's going on here. But I was like, okay, whatever happens, happens. I think that she saw the same thing on my account. I think what was happening from both of our sides was people were so keen that that person would win that they were digging out old accounts and using those to like. So I don't think to my knowledge, no one ever created an account just to vote. No one bought votes or whatever reason. And I'm pretty sure from her reaction that they didn't, even though I suspected it. But she did a story that went through some of the likes that I was getting and like that, this person has made no posts and things like that. And and I was, and it was against a soundtrack of cheater, 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 cheater. That it was I was thrown back a bit by that because, well, on one hand, I thought that they were doing that. Clearly they weren't, because otherwise they wouldn't react like that. I don't think they would have reacted like that if they were doing it. But I was a little bit hurt by it, to think that someone accused me of cheating. I really hate that. Cheating to me on those things, it's one of the things, playing cards and things like that. I will never knowingly cheat. I think that's just has no purpose. Maybe it's come from my running background or whatever. For whatever reason, that one did hurt a little bit. I sort of replied to her to try and engage with her. She just didn't want to know, just said, you're cheating. Some other people sort of replied to her, and I think perhaps for whatever reason she took down her story. And the good news is whatever the scenario, both of us won in the end. They could see it was so close that the both of us won, and I think that was just so fantastic. And I sort of promoted their beer when it came out as well, but it just sort of shows you there. It was like really, it could easily have been me doing that post that she did, when in the end, neither of us were. It's just, you're so suspicious now on social media. Anyway, that was it. That was the other story. I'll go back now to former me. Bye-bye. Yeah. The comments that you get are just crazy. And it just reflects what people are thinking. And it's just so, it's an insight into people's behaviors. 2 examples now that I've had on the street, or I've had throughout actually my period of Dutch life that I've been speaking Dutch. It's kind of interesting to see how people react to a someone that wasn't raised in the Netherlands speaking Dutch back to them. And it immediately gives you an insight into what's going through with that person, how that conversation's going to go on. One of the things that's happened a lot, that's been just a general transition, I think, is as I've developed over time. Now, is it because I've got better at Dutch, or is it because more people are not so good at Dutch for whatever reason? There was, for years, I'd be speaking Dutch, and people and the Dutch people go, "What? What are you saying? What are you saying?" I'm like thinking, I am saying that word correctly. It's just my accent that's just throwing you off, or whatever. But I seem to have transitioned from people saying that as their first response. what are you saying? To now people appreciate it. Whereas now it's almost to the point where I'm going, I hope you understand me. And they go, of course we understand you. You're speaking great Dutch. It seems to have shifted. Now, for me, I don't think my Dutch has improved that dramatically that it goes from one side of what the hell are you saying to, oh no, I completely understand you for whatever reason. But it's really interesting how that's changed. And I think in part it's because perhaps I have maybe got a little bit better at Dutch, but I think it's more a reflection of I'm trying my hardest to speak Dutch. And I think people appreciate that more. Two conversations that I've had on the street recently. I've been doing some work for the Groene Lobby, who have, just a shout out to them. They've been one of my sponsors. Now all the sponsors are amazing, but the Groene Lobby have actually made it possible for me to get to the end of this year because they've given me temporary work, and the temporary work is just going out through the streets of Amsterdam, talking to people about trash and things like that. So it's all connected with what I do and everything. So I've been going around speaking to people, and there's been a couple of really interesting things. So I was talking to some person, I was talking about trash, and they go, yeah, oh, those bloody expats, they just don't, this is all in Dutch. Those bloody expats are just a nightmare. They just drop trash. They just don't respect the rules of where they need to put it in the bins. They don't respect the rule about putting the big trash items out on this day like they should. They just don't take time to learn it and everything. And I'm having this conversation with them, and they're just talk about expats. So that was their real sort of gripe. And it was understandable. At the bottom of their street, it was a real nightmare. And I think it's because there's a lot of transition going on, and it was a very expat rich area anyway. So, and I said to them, you can tell in my accent that I'm an expat. And their response was, yeah, but you're trying. And I think trying makes so much of a difference. It really does. It was just they would like going, yeah, but you don't count as an expat because you are trying to speak the language. You are trying your hardest. And I didn't want to like say to them, yeah, but I don't think I've done particularly well considering I've been here for so long. But whatever, it was, that was so insightful. There was another one I had where I'm going into this restaurant and I've got to ask them about what they do with their trash. And they can see I've got this official jacket on. I'm going in now, I've got official flyers. So I say, I want to talk to you about your trash. They've just been given a fine for where they put their trash. So they're immediately, they're angry before they've even started their conversation. And I could tell that because whereas I spent the whole day talking to people in Dutch and not having a problem, they couldn't understand a word I said. They were going, what? Speak Dutch. And I said, I am speaking Dutch. I'm trying my hardest. And they go, you need to I can't understand what you're saying. I can't understand what you're saying. It was just quite aggressive to me. And it wasn't directed to me. It was just the fact that they were angry. They picked up fine. They're doing their hardest. Other people around, other restaurants are equally as bad. They just picked up that fine. And so I immediately knew just from their reaction to how I was speaking Dutch and their reaction to how I was speaking Dutch, I just immediately knew what kind of interaction it was. But just engaged them a bit longer and turned it around, and we had a great conversation in the end. And it just needed that sort of space to let them vent their steam, and then we could have a conversation. Suddenly my Dutch was understandable. In a similar way, it was like a couple of times I've done it, and I don't know, sometimes my Dutch really sucks, sometimes it's better, whatever reason. I've gone into, maybe because it was cold, I've gone into places and I was like thinking, I've got no clue what I'm saying. And I say, you probably understand me. And they go, no, I understand you perfectly. That was the other way. They were like scared that I had this official gear on. They were scared that I was going to come in to find them. And suddenly they could understand everything I was saying. All of this is a reflection of how people, their own space. What I've learned from this is, those trolls that I've had, those positive comments are as much about the person as they are about me. Now, this is not earth-shattering new insights. Everyone talks about this. I just want to put my slant on it. And the way that I do it is I don't like riding horses. I've done it, but the reason why I don't like riding horses is because there's a second brain involved. I am on top of a horse, and that horse has got a brain. That horse can do whatever it likes, regardless of any input I give it in terms of where I want to go and everything like that. And I always felt like I was out of control. And it's the same thing with any interaction you have with people. There are two or more brains involved. And as a result, you've got to take that. You can't think of it as being something that is only about you. Any conversation you have in the street with someone is never about you. It's always about the two of you. You two brains, two conversations, two viewpoints. So how do I cope with it? And I think the banana suit is the biggest advantage that the banana suit gives me is it gives me that ability to put a barrier between that second brain, and to give me and also, even if I've not got the banana suit on, I am a guy that runs around town in a banana suit. I've built up this sort of defense. I've had to build up this ability to separate myself from the view of others. And I think that's really helped. And I've seen that as well when I've done PlogX. There's been a couple of people that have joined me for my group plogs who are really introvert. But what I've seen with them, and a couple of them have said it to me as well, is that it's really helped them doing PlogX, going around with the banana guy, because the focus is on the banana guy. If they run with me, they know that more focus is going to be on that person than on them. But it gets them to get outside of their skin and be a little bit more extrovert, a little bit more outgoing in a safe environment, knowing that, okay, anything bad happens, it will be focused on the banana. The banana suit is amazing. It acts as a big tool for me to separate myself from any hurtful stuff. I'm not saying it doesn't get hurtful, but it gives me it's helped me separate myself from that. Was this a little bit more focused, this conversation? I don't know, but I'm gonna end it there. People are funny. They are just so funny. All the conversations I've had is just, everyone can be so insightful into how we are as a society. And I'm sure that there's something that I could sort of relate to in terms of trash. Oh, you actually see that now. You see how society has changed. And I've talked about this in the podcast before, about the fact that whereas before people were ashamed, they knew it, just dropping trash was wrong. And so they would do it without people looking, without people seeing them. Now they don't care. For whatever reason, it's up to you. Yeah, you've probably got your own view, the reason why. But now more people are visibly dropping trash because it's tolerated, or they feel more embrazened for it. They've got their own barrier. Maybe they have their own banana suit on that thinks, no, I can do that. Doesn't matter what other people think. There's a negative aspect to a banana suit. But for whatever reason, I hope you found this enjoyable, hearing some of these stories. My name is Paul. Putting on a banana suit and going out and picking up trash and not giving a damn how I get viewed. The most important thing is that picking up trash. That is my way of life. Hope it's inspired you a little bit. Speak to you soon. Bye.